Ex-burglars of Reddit. What things specifically make people a target? And what things deter burglars? So, I stuck with commercial burglary. Residential burglary carried a risk of getting hit with a home invasion charge, which increases your sentence if convicted. Not to mention, you run the risk of getting shot by some redneck with a spring-loaded magnum under every flat surface in the house. But anyway, I'd pick places based on the upkeep of their equipment. If the cash register was out of date, so was their camera system. If the clerk leaves the register open a crack while they're behind the counter, that means the safe is likely open in the back room. It also helps to hit the places that hire felons, fast food joints, video stores, etc., because the cops are going to waste a lot of time looking into the staff members who have a criminal history. The closer they are looking at them, the better off I am. Of course, this was 15 years ago. Things change. Next story. Before I bought my house, I lived in a pretty crappy neighborhood. We could hear gunshots on any given evening. One day, one of our neighbors, who we had talked to many times before, came up to me while I was mowing the lawn and asked if I had seen anything. Apparently hers and several other houses in the neighborhood were broken into and robbed that previous night while she was at work. They pushed the air conditioning unit through the wall, crawled in, and proceeded to take everything that wasn't nailed down. A few weeks later, another neighbor reported the same thing. Eventually, everyone in our neighborhood except us had been robbed. Our big difference, though, was a few signs on our fence that said, "Beware of dog." The dog in question was my wife's Dachshund, but we occasionally had my friend's Mastiff visit us. Dogs seem to be a decent deterrent, according to the cops that came around asking questions. Next story. I'm not a burglar, but I worked for the largest security company in this country for half a decade. Burglar alarms do not deter burglars. They just alert you that you have been burglarized. Most of the time, the police will take very little action in response due to the fact that 98% of burglar alarm activations constitute false alarms. The sign that comes with the alarm, though, that thing is worth more than the alarm as far as deterring burglars. Then, my job was to take reports from customers who had been burglarized. See my first point above? But in all of my time doing these interviews, and I never interviewed one single burglary victim who owned a medium-sized or large-sized dog. Not one single time. That is not to say that no one who owns a dog ever gets burglarized. I'm just saying that in 5 years of spending 8 hours a day interviewing people who had been, not one single time did I encounter the situation. I also think there is at least some statistical validity in that. But the TLDR is, a big effing dog is the best burglary deterrent you can possibly have. Better than burglar alarms, signs, guns, or expensive locks. Okay, everybody, I am going to the dog store. You are more than welcome to join me if you'd like. We are getting dogs. We're not getting burglarized ever again, and I'm putting a claymore under the floor mat. No one's breaking into this crib, I'm just saying. Anyway, next story. So there was a guy hanging around my apartment complex for at least 5 hours claiming to have been waiting for someone. At night, my husband went out to walk our dog, and I was in the bathroom. He realized he didn't lock the door and remembered that guy. Turned back only after a minute and found the guy in the process of opening our door. My husband, he's 6'4", and my dog is a 65-pound bull terrier. My husband started yelling, but what I saw scared the crap out of him. The most was my dog trying to take him down. And I never saw that guy again. Next story. Motion sensing floodlights outside. No big bushes in front of windows where somebody could hide. Thorned bushes are always good under windows, if you keep them close enough. A dog is nice. If you can't afford an alarm and security cameras, fake cameras and alarm contacts on windows can be a deterrent, hopefully. Better to just get the real thing. Remember, any security footage could possibly be obtained and used against you if something goes down. If you do shady things, cameras could be a bad idea. Then deadbolt locks on all exterior doors, keyed outside and inside if there's a window or next to the door, but then only take the key out when nobody is home for fire safety. And if you aren't always home at night, get a few timers for lamps inside. Then some pro-level stuff? Get a cheap TV, like a crappy CRT 13-inch that nobody wants. Put it in a cabinet or wall unit type thing so you can close the door to hide it when guests come over. Put it on a timer to stay on until very late and set a light timer in a bedroom to come on when it goes off. Install vertical blinds on a window far across from the TV. Vertical blinds are great because you can angle them for a very limited view so the house looks less closed up and more inhabited. Anyway, in this case, angle the blinds so you can clearly see the crap TV, but nothing else in the room. Set volume so you can just barely hear it outside. And this does two things. The light and sound make it seem like someone could be home, and a thief may look in, see the 13-old incher and just be like, damn, this dude's stuff sucks, I'm going somewhere else. Next story. I would check out a house several times over 2 days. If there was no sign of movement, no lights coming on or off, no curtains moved, newspapers left on the driveway, I was interested. Then, is the house in a nice neighborhood? Is it well kept? If so, I figured they had nice stuff. Next question. Is there an easy escape route? Woods in the backyard were excellent. Next question. Is there a window hidden from view that I can smash in if I have to? Next story. Listened to a KFI radio interview when I lived in Los Angeles. Former anonymous burglar said he avoided houses that hung the U.S. flag. Said it told him the occupants likely owned at least one firearm. Would avoid even if it looked as though no one was home. Next story. So everybody, this one's interesting because we did another recent burglary video on this channel, and one person said that, I believe they were a former personal burglar, I can't quite remember, but they said that guns weren't always the best deterrent because if somebody wasn't home, they could sneak in, get the gun, and then sell it for a high profit, especially since it's already registered under somebody else's name. So this is interesting, so I guess take the firearm advice as you will. Next story. Not a burglar, but a guy who was paranoid about keeping his crap from being stolen. Buy a $3 blinking LED from eBay and install it on top of your car's dash. Especially a blue one, as that screams fancy aftermarket alarm. Keeps the neighborhood 3 a.m. car hoppers away. So car hopping is basically what little craphead kids do. They walk around neighborhoods and apartment complex parking lots trying car door handles to see if they are unlocked so they can steal anything that's inside. And some are not above breaking into a locked vehicle if they spot a purse, backpack, or something else theft-worthy within sight. I've read that 3 a.m. is the optimal time to hit an apartment complex parking lot. Next story. Sorry, not a burglar, but I have some info to share. I used to live alone in a small bungalow in Central Phoenix. My house was broken into twice while I was home and in the afternoon even. Both times my dog alerted me by her low guttural growl and then some loud violent barks. I'd never heard anything like that out of a dog. She knew the difference between a visitor getting ready to knock and someone working on the door itself. Thank goodness for that fearless little dog. And I once owned a house that had been built in the 1950s by a civil engineer who ended up with a debilitating condition, which eventually created a situation requiring a wheelchair, and then eventually he was bedridden. He decided he needed to make sure he knew when someone was in the house, so he had a system installed which consisted of a bunch of small areas with wires beneath the carpet. There was a toggle switch on the wall near each area which they would switch on every night, and if walked on, a loud buzz would sound throughout the house. We couldn't figure out what the toggles were for, but didn't worry too much about it. But when we pulled up the carpet and found the wires, my spouse started doing research and figured it out. Next story. Live in a suburb of a major city like Chicago. Lights constantly on. Always the sound of chaos coming from inside. Order an F-ton of pizzas and stuff one night to indicate that you're about to leave for a big trip. Make sure not to order enough cheese. Buzz, you ate all the cheese. And leave weird, small, creepy child in house by accident. For those of you who don't get it, they're making a Home Alone joke. Please do not leave your children at home while going on vacation. Anyway, next story. So, not a burglar, but when I drive to work in the evening when it's dark, I can't tell you how many big screen TVs I can see through large unshaded windows in people's homes. They're just advertising it. I keep all my windows sealed. Also, I don't have any big screen TVs. I prefer smaller TVs that are closer to me, within a few feet, instead of a giant TV that is across the room. Next story. Not a burglar, but I take my home security kinda seriously. Here are a few points I make to friends and family. Keep in mind, all of these measures are set in place to slow down or deter a burglar. If a burglar wants what you've got that bad, they'll find a way. But get an alarm system. You can get one from Vivint, ADT, etc. I'd recommend having it monitored, mainly to let you know that the alarm has been tripped. Newer model systems allow you to arm and disarm the system remotely through your cell phone, which is quite nice, but also another potential major security issue. Some systems even allow you to lock and unlock your doors remotely, which is also very helpful at times. The sign that comes with that system to put in your yard and your doors will usually deter more criminals than the system itself. Then consider having deadbolts on all exterior doors. Do not use locks from Kwikset, Brinks, Master Lock, or any locks that can be purchased from your local hardware store. These locks are not made with security in mind and can easily be picked, drilled, or bumped. You can purchase typical 5, 6, or 7 pin tumbler locks with spools and other security pins installed to slow potential burglars and to make picking incredibly difficult. You can look into different lock types too, and even some locks that incorporate 2 sets of pins in the keyway to make picking damn near impossible. Then consider putting 3.5-inch screws into your door frame to make it stronger and to make kicking in that door much harder. You can also look into metal door frames, metal doors, and security doors that have locks that come out of the top and bottom of the door when operated. Then, if you have an outward-facing or primary entranceway like you would see in an apartment, either get a peephole installed or have a doorbell camera installed. If someone knocks on that door, you'll see who's there before you open it. Then, as always, CCTV systems are always highly recommended. If you have an internet-connected system, be sure to change your password on your camera system quarterly. Make sure that your system also records and stores data for at least 7 days. I'd personally prefer 30 days before automatically deleting the data. If you do own a CCTV system already, be sure to know how to use it, and in the event that you need the footage for any legal issues, know how to properly secure and copy the footage and not delete it by accident. Then, a dog will usually deter a criminal if it barks. Big or small, as long as the dog can bark and make itself known, it'll be fine. No matter your case, even if you don't own a dog, consider purchasing a "Beware of Dog" sign to put on your backyard gates. This will also potentially stop a burglar. Then, motion-activated exterior lights are a godsend. Make sure you know the maximum detection range of the sensors. This will help you by allowing you to get a starting point on where to begin looking for trespassers. Remember, burglars are usually there for a quick grab. They don't want to be caught, and they don't want to fight for it. Then consider properly informing all inhabitants of your residence on home security, i.e., don't open the door for people you don't know, keep all doors and windows locked, etc. Then consider investing in double-paned windows for your house. Also, potentially invest in reinforced glass on all windows facing a street. Possibly plant thorn bushes underneath all windows to keep intruders from getting too close to peep inside. Keep all blinds and shutters closed at all times, especially at nighttime. If there is a main location where car keys, shop keys, work keys, or any keys are kept, consider replacing that location with a locked and mounted key lock box attached to the wall. Possibly mount it to the stud if you really want to make sure they can't just yank it off the wall. If you keep spare keys outside of your home, make sure to keep them well hidden. Don't put them under the mat. Maybe purchase a fake dog poop that hides the key. Just be sure to remember which dog pile the key is in. Or maybe make a fake sprinkler head that acts as a key holder. Be smart and get creative with your key hiding places. All in all, keep everything locked at all times, even if you're gone for 15 seconds. I could gain entry into your home in half that time if the proper precautions weren't put into place. Stay vigilant, stay smart. And sorry if I missed a point anywhere, these were just off the top of my head. Next story. Young Redditors may not have heard of this thing. It's called radio. Leave a talk station on when you're out. No burglar's gonna come in if he hears voices, unless it's a home invasion. Leave a light on, doesn't matter if you put a timer on it or not. Just a low-level light, like it's a night light for going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. A dog is another big plus. Hard for anyone to get past a dog in the dark. And they don't need to see you to bark and bite at you. And have never been burglarized ever. And I'm 67 years old. That is all. Next story. I live in an area with a large homeless population, many of which are drug addicts. Lots of smash and grab car burglaries. I can tell you this for certain. Theft is 99% visual, meaning if you've left something valuable within view, you're gonna lose it. And a value could mean anything, even an empty bag. Tweakers are not gonna assume it's empty, they will take the chance. But at the same time, dude's not gonna smash a window, then take the time to start rummaging around hoping to find something of value. Too time-consuming, especially after a large crash from your newly busted window. So hide your crap. Next story. I'm not answering the question directly, but I am answering it indirectly. The vast majority of burglars are perpetrated by people who have been inside your home before. This is very important to realize. When you have guests over that you don't know well, maybe at a Halloween party, lock all of the doors to bedrooms and don't have anything super valuable just laying out to show. Most of the time, they won't take anything during the party, but they will come back later with friends. Next story. I feel bad for being another one of those. I'm not actually one of those people, but you know how some landscapers throw bags of rocks with a landscaping ad or business card in them? Guess what? Some of these are just burglars taking a bunch of pamphlets from a landscaping business, throwing these in your yard. Then they drive by a day or two later, and whoever didn't pick them up is much likely more a candidate, especially if there was no car in the driveway either time. Next story. When people proudly advertise their security system, you can usually find a forum of people who've found the latest ways to crack the system. Also, if they advertise being a gun owner without being a veteran, I knew before I enlisted that veterans advertise their status and branch. That's a solid target, usually kept in an outdated safe by an owner who hardly knew how to use it, let alone be able to control nerves from affecting things like trigger control or aligning their sights. You could always sell a gun for more cash as jewels or a laptop if you have the right connections. And I never tried neighborhoods with an active watch. Usually meant any targets had a good relationship with the cops, and any calls would be handled with a lot more care. Also, I'd never rob a place with a dog, especially a pit bull, Rottweiler, or German Shepherd from the pound. Then, drug dealers were a natural target for home invasion if you had the confidence. Crowbar open that door and put the main occupant on their ass. Once they see you're not a junkie and have every intention to kill, if they don't listen to you, they usually give up solid cash and or flashy valuables that you can pawn by going to a county an hour or two away. They can't really call the cops and draw attention to themselves. Next story. Obligatory, not a burglar, blah blah blah, but I have two 180-pound dogs and security cameras. One night I fell asleep with the front door open. Woke up to the barking and sound of my front door slamming shut. Checked the cameras and some guy walked right in. My living room has a huge 8-foot window and is right beside the front door. I assume he was after the TV or the Xbox, but was gone as soon as he saw my boys. They got steaks for breakfast the next day. Dogs are way more effective than any other deterrent. Next story. I look at home security as concentric rings of defense. Outer, don't peacock, keep a low profile, don't let people know that you're out of town except trusted neighbors who will pick up the paper, stop the mail, make the house look lived in via timers, radio, or TV, get an alarm and put up stickers everywhere, install cameras if possible, lock your doors at all times, even when home, use deadbolts and door bars. Motion detector security lights, security fence, locked, random work schedule, come home from lunch or work from home on occasion. Then, as for the inner stuff, a big effing dog, or a little yappy bastard. I wish you could have seen the low running happen when a canvasser rang the doorbell and our two little dogs launched themselves at the window. Gun safe bolted to the slab and hidden in a deadbolt closet. Insurance to replace what gets taken. So essentially, nothing to see here, hard as crap to get in, dog to make them think, safe if they're in the house, insurance if all else fails. Next story. Drive through your neighborhood during daytime, late afternoon, and nighttime hours. Do the neighbors even look out of their windows at me? Do they notice that a stranger is slowly cruising through their neighborhood? Are there people working on their lawns? Walking the dogs, kids out playing? How are the houses physically secured? Do they have fences, gates, dogs, etc.? Are the garages open with no garage doors? Can I see what's inside? Tools, fancy cars, motorcycles, a door that leads into the main house via the garage? The best neighborhoods are the ones that have neighbors who do not look out for each other. The ones where you can drive through and no one gives a rat's ass that you are coming or going. Elderly neighbors are a plus too. Also, is the neighborhood located near major freeways, on-ramps? Looking for escape routes should the cops come? Is there signage/stickers stating that the houses have alarms? Motion sensing lights? Next story. My friends used to break into houses until they tried drunk and got caught. And they would keep an eye on a house and note things down like what times cars were there and when lights were on and off. Just for patterns, when they were positive no one was there, they would do the "does she live here" test. They would send a girlfriend to knock. No answer would mean it's a go. If someone did answer, the girl would just ask if a random girl lived there and apologized when told they didn't. Then it would be called off. Next story. There was an old show on Discovery, or A&D, called To Catch a Thief, where two ex-breaking and entering guys would get owners' permission to break into the house in the future. Then they would do it on video and give security improvements. Excellent watch if you can find it. One of the biggest things was people being too effing lazy to lock their doors or thinking they could hide their valuables. A good thief can completely trash a house in 10 minutes and find everything of value. Next story. Not a burglar, but a police officer. Some basic precautions. At the front of your house, your priority is visibility, not difficulty of access. Regardless of how imposing your hedge/fence is, unless you have security gates, then there is going to be ready access to your front door regardless. What you want is to make access to your house very visible from the street, so that anyone snooping around or forcing entry can't do so without the risk of being seen. Security lights are part of this. You want this, not this. Then at the back, the opposite is true. Decent fence that is hard to climb and obscures your property from passerbys. Something prickly is a good option for hedges. Then there's definitely a case of you don't need to outrun the bear, just the slowest man in your party. Don't let your house be the soft touch. That applies to alarms. If everyone in your street has an alarm, then don't be the one that doesn't. Even if you just put up a fake alarm box, don't make your house look like the soft touch. Then basic physical security is a big deal. Don't rely on locks without deadbolts. They take a moment to open with, for example, a cut-up plastic bottle. Do lock your doors and close at least the windows that are accessible. Then don't leave garden tools accessible as implements for breaking in. Do be aware of climbable structures and flat roofs and secure access points, for example, upstairs windows, and handle those appropriately. Then do know your neighbors. If you hear strange noises, go and knock on the door and ask if they're okay, so that they know it's cool to do the same for you. Don't forget outbuilding security. If you really must keep expensive garden tools in a shed, then lock it and cover the windows so they can't be seen inside. And for the love of God, if you live in a country with letterboxes in the front door, I'm from the UK, then don't leave your house/car keys visible through it. Burglaries and vehicle thefts that result from the burglar just hooking the keys through the letterbox with a hook on a pole are prolific and easy to prevent. Next story. There's a lot of things that make someone a target for theft. Here are the big ones, in my opinion, and why. 1. Pets. Any kind of animal, no matter how loyal, is an unpredictable variable of alert. If anything goes wrong with an animal, save for killing it, the owner will almost always become alerted upon their animals becoming alerted. 2. Outside lights. Having a well-lit immediate exterior is crucial for homeowner safety. Having darkness and gaps in exposure is like a hammock for a thief to lie in. It allows safety and time to enact precise actions such as cutting cables, electricity, picking locks, etc. 3. Alarm system yard sign. As cliche as it sounds, an alarm company's sign on your property is a great deterrent to thieves. It shows that you have a primary alarm system purely to prevent our actions. Save for more extensively equipped criminals, which is more of a you problem if you have people paying others that trained to rob you. This alone will make any potential criminals turn their heads in disgust. Then 4. Gun owner indication. A thief will be much more hesitant if they're aware that the person they're attempting to burglar is a firearms owner. It immediately indicates that there is a risk of one's life as possible consequences for the choice of robbing that individual. But don't just put one up for show. It's almost necessary in our society to have proper protection for yourself, family, and loved ones. 5. Cameras. As paranoid as it may seem, it really isn't a bad idea to have cameras surveying your property. As with the alarm system, only much more skilled thieves will even attempt to steal from a place of residence or business that has active cameras running around the clock, or at least appearing to. However, this all being said, there is little to deter spontaneous violent crimes caused by one's boastfulness. As such, my last point is more a life tip than a home safety tip. 6. Don't flaunt your money. Seriously, people, there is never a need in amicable conversation with your acquaintances or strangers to flex or show off one's material possessions, lucrative lifestyle, or excessive income. It will immediately make you a target for more reckless and easily persuaded thugs to steal from you and possibly beat you. So I hope all of these tips help even just one person feel more confident in their home safety precautions and aids in preventing crime in any way possible. Thank you so much for reading. So I don't know if the person who just wrote that comment was a burglar or not. In their third point about the alarm system, they said, it shows that you have a primary alarm system purely to prevent our actions, So if they were a burglar, this was the kindest, most cool burglar ever. Thank you so much. What a helpful person. Anyway, next story. So, did a lot of crap as a teenager. What makes you a target? If you're the type of person that doesn't call the police. Someone easily pushed around. Robbers really don't just break into a random house. They either know you or have heard a lot about you. Flaunt money or drugs on social media also makes you someone as a target. Also, if they know you're going out of town or leaving for a while, easy target. So what deters thieves? Effing dogs, especially big effing dogs. Even little dogs, they stay away from. They make noise. Also little children or teenagers, they stay awake all night. And guns. If you make it known you have guns, usually those homes don't get broken into because they can and will shoot to kill you. Next story. Not a burglar or ex-burglar. Have worked security for longer than any one person should. Store your high-value items better. If you own guns, don't talk about them. They are very easily resold in many countries for good money. Another huge one is bicycles. A bike lock only slows down a bike thief temporarily. Almost all of them are easily cut with bolt cutters. Even the big beefy looking locks can go down easily. Keep your bikes locked inside your home when you aren't riding them.
Don't leave them locked up outside ever. If you live in a condo, be aware that bike rooms in condos are often broken into and robbed on a regular basis, as are storage rooms in condos. Then lock your doors. I've seen people go door to door checking all of them until they find an unlocked entrance. In a downtown area, this happens nightly. If you're looking at a condo building, check to see if the exterior doors have thick latch plates. Latch plates are metal plates over the middle of the door, where the door latch goes into the frame. If a place doesn't have these doors can be popped open in a heartbeat by anybody with a small screwdriver or credit card or flat metal object. Latch plates are great though. They won't stop a crowbar with muscle behind it, but they'll deter 9 out of 10 thieves. Thieves are opportunistic, and there's always easier opportunities, so make your dwelling less appealing than your neighbor's. And a bit of extra security like a dog, security cameras, or a locked gate can go a long way. Next story. Being gone at set times paints a target on your back. If you're casing a joint and it's always empty on Sundays at 10 a.m., you know exactly when to strike. Then, as for things that deter burglars, if someone wants in, they're going to get in. Cameras and security alarms can scare people off from an attempt or upon trying to enter, but it's not a guarantee. My advice is to keep a TV or radio playing when you're away from home. If you can hear it from the outside of the place, it will be difficult to establish if someone is inside or not. People don't generally leave them on while they're away. Next story. Don't leave empty boxes from high-end electronics on the curb outside your house. People tend to do this right after the holidays. Put that crap in your car and throw it out somewhere else, like the local recycling center. Then any burglar casing your neighborhood will see that crap and know without even coming near your house and looking suspicious that you just got a bunch of valuable stuff just ready to be taken. Next story. A constantly yapping dog. If your dog barks all the time, then there's nothing strange about it barking frantically while you're gone at work or on vacation. Also, third shift neighbors may be so fed up with yappy dog that they'll look the other way with the knowledge that its owners are going to get what's coming to them. Anecdotal evidence for why a witness didn't report a burglary, their dog had always been annoying, etc. If you don't want your home breaking into, don't have a yappy dog. Next story. I'm not a burglar, but to put it in, burglars are surveyors. They love to see who or what has what, how much on your home and what you have, and what your schedule is looking like. How lax is security? How many people live there? By the way, real burglars don't go for a large amount of families. Dogs, adults living in their parents' houses, people still living with their spouses. Something easy that they can take down. Please note, I said real as in good. Also, alarms don't help, they just alarm. A security system that has cameras? That could actually be a problem if they don't know what they are doing and covering crap up. Oh yeah, and stop showing off your crap, Mike. For God's sakes, we know that you got the job you wanted at the Apple Store, but you don't gotta rev up your Harley every effing night when you go outside. Jesus Christ. Next story. Not a burglar, but I have been burglarized. According to the cops who caught the MF, burglars don't pray at night when people are most likely home. They pray during the day when everyone's at work or school. The best way to deter them is to make it look like someone is home. Burglars will go around and ring the doorbell to see if anyone is home. If they feel like the coast is clear, no car or driveway, windows are closed, house is quiet, they will target that house. That is what happened to me. I do have to say that the only time my home was broken into when I was younger was, in fact, during the day while me and the family were going on a school field trip. So I don't know, coincidence? I don't know, but it happened during daytime, so this holds a little bit of water. Anyway, next story. So, not a burglar, but a police officer who used to be a part of the Safeguard program, which is a team of officers that work to prevent performed voluntary security audits on homes and businesses after they've become victims of home thefts. So, most houses are burgled during daylight hours while people are away at work, and most country homes are commonly burgled during the nighttime. Ways to reduce the home of being burgled, starting from the perimeter of the property to the interior of the home, make the property line obvious and make accessible routes to the home obvious, making it suspicious if someone is walking around the home. Easy way to do it, put a small fence around your property. Then get rid of solid fences. Most people want privacy in their yards, however, this becomes cover for the person looking in your home. Consider low privacy fences and chain link fences. Then talk to your neighbors. Tell them where you're going so that they're aware when an unwanted guest is on your property. Nosy neighbors actually prevent lots of burglaries as they are the ones who notice when something is off. Then trees and shrubs. No shrubs should ever be over a foot high, and trees should have no branches hanging less than 8 feet. This allows your yard to be more visible to people on the outside, reducing the places a burglar can hide. Then there's lights. Lights that illuminate the yard are fantastic. However, lights that are too bright actually blind your neighbors, reducing their vision of the unwanted guests. Place lights out of reach so they cannot be tampered with. Then there's mail. If you leave for an extended period, have the post office hold your mail. Also, never advertise what you have in your home by leaving boxes outside your home. For example, if you buy a big new screen TV, cut the box in it to pieces and tie them tightly together, and only put it to the road on recycling day. Then decorative items around the home. Remove all loose rocks that can break windows and secure all decorations firmly to the ground to prevent potential break-in tools to your home. Windows, always ensure your windows are locked. Also, if you are Canadian and have a few hockey sticks lying around, cut some down and place them in the windows to prevent people from opening the windows. The same trick works for glass pane sliding doors. Also, plant some thorny shrubs outside of windows in places where someone could try to hide. Bad guys hate thorny bushes. Then there's keys. Place them in a cupboard and out of reach and out of sight of the windows and doors. Switches. If you are leaving for an extended period of time, purchase a light switch, timer, or timers to simulate someone being inside the house while you are away. Then have someone check on your home regularly. While you are away, have someone cut your grass, shovel your driveway, rake your leaves. If a house looks maintained, people are less likely to break in. Then security stickers. Place security stickers on windows to warn of a security system whether you have one or not. Just these stickers have proved to deter would-be thieves from breaking in. Then, if you live in Ontario, I recommend you check with your local OPP office if they have a safeguard program in your area. You can request an audit even if you haven't been broken into. Next story. Not a burglar, but lock your vehicle. I was the victim of a car theft. Funny thing is, they only stole a single muffin out of a 4-pack I got from Walmart and forgot to bring inside. The unfunny part, I keep my medication in my car because I don't trust my roommates. I take a lot of Adderall. Pretty full pill bottle, about 50 pills, was stashed in a little coin bucket by the steering wheel. Even with good insurance, that crap is pricey. I think just 60 pills is more than $300, and that's just generic. Nowadays, I click my car lock about 4 or 5 times just to be sure. Next story. I used to steal from cars to feed my meth addiction for a couple of years. Lock your doors and keep valuables out of sight at all times. I would never break a window if I didn't see anything of value in the open, but if it's unlocked, it wouldn't stop me from rummaging through it and possibly finding something. Also, take your purse with you. At all times, your car just became a target if I saw a woman get out of her car without a purse. This means even if they're going to be a few seconds, my main method was daycares because they'd leave their car running and everything inside so they could go inside for a few seconds to drop off their kid. Next story. My mom's house got broken into last year. They took a fair bit, including jewelry that she got from my dad, who has now passed away, and she now lives alone. She installed security cameras, turns on a digital radio before she leaves the house so it sounds like someone is inside, leaves lights on, and leaves a pair of my dad's old work boots out of the front so it looks like a male lives there. She lives in a really nice area, but constantly gets phone calls from law enforcement, asking if the police can search thoroughly through her security camera footage because someone else's house had been broken into on the street. It's actually quite surprising. Next story. Every book I've read and serious thread on this topic I've seen all say that having a large dog is the best defense. But it really doesn't matter what kind of dog you have. They likely have never met this dog before and really don't care to find out how friendly it is. Then alarm systems or living near police doesn't really do anything. Most burglaries are over so quickly that any response will arrive too late. A dog already in the house is another matter though. Most burglaries are attacks of opportunity. There's always another house that doesn't have a dog in it with just as much loot to steal. So 2 things, the 2 stories ago, the one about the work boots is actually a pretty clever idea. Maybe whenever I get home, I should just leave some like dirty work boots outside. And also, 3 stories ago, they were talking about breaking into the car and how easy it is if it's unlocked and the purse and stuff. Well, a while ago, I was having issues with my car's key. With the key fob, the battery was dying, it was low, so I would have to click it multiple times to lock the car. I would have to be close to lock the car. And eventually, one day, I was going to tennis practice, and I thought I locked the car, but it probably just died on me, the battery did. And guess what? My car got broken into. So I guess if I could provide some advice, make sure to change the battery when that thing starts dying, because you never know when you forget to unlock the car or think you do, but the thing died on you. But anyway, folks, that's the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a really good day, and bye-bye!